that basis. As we are now technologically up and running,
We are.
and hopefully we're also recording, we'll start the meeting at, well, I don't know what it's 8 o'clock, even if that one says it's a couple of minutes past. Apologies for absence. I don't think there are any. That's an interesting bit. Representations from interested parties. I'm not aware of any, and there are no members of the public present. Declarations of interest. Any disclosable pecuniary interest to declare?
No.
Any other interests to declare? We shall all have to declare an interest in the Snipe Meadow Boardwalk since it's ours.
Yep.
But apart from that, any other interests? No.
Shall I just say that anything to do with Arundel School?
Yes. Okay, well, that's items 1 and 2, I think. Right. That means you've declared an interest in roughly half the agenda, the planning items on the agenda.
That's going to keep you quiet, then.
Right. Minutes of the previous meeting, which was held on Tuesday the 8th of January and have been circulated. Those present were myself, both Councillor Oakes, Councillor Humphreys, Councillor Chesser and Councillor Robinson. So is somebody present? Yeah. Councillor Oakes N proposes, Councillor Chesser seconds. All those in favour please indicate. Thank you.
She's got a loud voice, hasn't she?
Tell her to shut up.
Yeah.
You almost need a sign on the door that says, despite the fact the door is closed, we're not actually in closed session. But somehow I doubt anybody is going to.
Well, we'll see anybody through.
It's just an interesting thought. We possibly would want just a note.
Yeah, I can make a sign.
Yeah, could do.
Next one.
Right, planning applications, starting hopefully with the laundry in Batchorn Road.
Here we go.
Oh, they're replacing all the windows.
Right. Well, it's the slate roof bit that's probably the biggest bit. But it's just, I think, do we all know where the laundry is? I assume we do.
Nice to live in it. Oh, when I first came to town, that's where I was put.
Is that why you're so well washed?
Yes. I was put above the Aussies were first. Wishy-washy.
That's it. I've that on the road.
It's good fun there.
You can see that it's not overlooked at the back or anything like that, and
It's pretty much
it's pretty self-standing building and all that sort of stuff. Roof plans, that's the existing, that's what proposed.
Yeah.
Now, I've done a bit of research on the Kingspan KS 1000 trapezoidal composite panels.
I'm impressed.
What fun was that? But basically, they're insulated panels and they'll be insulated back. Okay, so I don't think we've got much of a problem with that one. Next is elevations. Now, I've put a note there just to say that the arrow says where we're looking, okay, and it's pointing towards the staircase, which is going to be looked at completely. The existing one is in timber, the new one will be in coated aluminium, and it's going up the other way, which seems logical actually when you look at the designs. So, there we go.
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Even though I can't vote. Yes. Will it look like that awful panel that's on Blackstone School?
Well, no, I know
It's
the
coated.
silver one that's supposed
Yes,
to change
because
colour.
that was supposed to change colour and hasn't in the
It officially
because
says,
it'll look like a factory.
Trouble is, you can't see it from the street.
no, I don't think you'll be able to.
I know that because I used to go up every day.
Yeah, I mean, the technical spec says it's going to be in slate grey.
Yeah.
So in other words, they're just replacing like for like. And the reason they're doing that is quite patently to do with insulation.
It says powder coat still under the
Yep, powder coat.
so that presumably means it will be cut.
Yeah, but it's like grey then. In other words, it's not going to be.
It'll be all right.
It'll be all right.
Be safer.
Well, I think that other staircase is far better than the one that's there at the moment.
Yeah.
But what more to say?
I unfortunately really don't like it.
Oh,
I'm not convinced. I mean, I've been up and down that road umpteen times over the last, however many years it is now, 37 years or so that I've lived in Oundle. And I would say you could see parts of that roof from various
Yes.
places. And my fear is it's going to look, as Councillor Chesser succinctly put it, rather like a factory building. I don't think it's going to enhance the building's visual appearance at all. In fact, it will detract from it considerably. It might well be more environmentally efficient and effective. But I also slightly worry whether it would then set some sort of a trend and other roofs in the town would go a similar way. And I do worry about its visual impact. So we may need to take a little bit of a vote around the table and see whether other people share my concerns.
Would it be better if you had a visual?
Now, can you go back to the overview picture, Neville? You know, the one.
They do those architects drawings, don't they, where they show you what it looks
No,
like.
the sort of Google Maps one.
Yeah, if you go right back to that one,
Right.
There's a lot of slate.
there's a considerable amount of slate. Now,
As
I know that we're not pandering to people passing overhead in hot air balloons, aerokrafts or helicopters, but I still find it somewhat challenging to believe that that won't ultimately be
Can I-
intrusive.
When I first saw that picture, because I lived in it, you don't realise how big it is. And I'm sort of warming to your argument because we like, this is Oundle, slate, nice things, modern stuff, not so nice things. It's not a listed building in any way, shape or form.
It is.
No.
But it is the first thing you see after that modern monstrosity of houses that appeared. And it's sort of oldie Oundle, if you sort of mean, not oldie, but oldish. And I'm sort of sympathetic to your view.
It's not an insignificant building in this town.
surrounded by residential buildings.
It should be in keeping with the vernacular of the building itself, which is a Victorian building. It's a Victorian yellow brick building with slate roof as it was built, and I think perhaps you're right.
It will stand out from the...
I think perhaps the slate replacing it with
No,
a slate
go for
roof.
slate. And it's going to be in contention with the houses opposite, David, isn't it? What you're saying is the character will change.
Well, I fear it might.
Yeah.
It's a chunky place. It's in a residential area, and it's going backwards from meeting the residential.
Nice to the south is Bear Lodge, which is owned by a former councillor.
Yes.
Or Black Bear Lodge.
There doesn't appear to be an awful lot of support for
Well, now you've said
the
what
roof
you said,
bit.
the roof bit is...
I have no worries about the windows, I have no
Stairs.
worries about the change to the staircase, which I agree with Councillor Oakes, seems to me to be a logical way of reciting it, and I don't worry about changing it from wood to a metal one.
Slate.
But I wonder whether we should indicate either an objection perhaps to the change to the roof, even though we might support or not oppose the other elements of the application.
Yeah, I'm glad it's come around that
Well,
way. Yeah, I'm with you.
It's costing, isn't it? Obviously, because the Kingspan ready insulated roof will be considerably less than replacing that with slates, which they'd have to insulate as well. So it's just a cost thing. But I don't think they should do that. The school should do that
It's not gold.
for the benefit of the town. I mean, it's their benefit, not the town's benefit. So we should ask about the slate.
It's a major building. It's a major building on that road.
Yeah, there was actually nothing in the submission, by the way, just to say why they were doing this. It was just my best guess. to do with insulation.
Anyway,
Yes.
so.
I mean, it may be that it required some work anyway, and they've decided to upgrade it, but
But
I
there's
don't
nothing
find anybody who's actually speaking out positively in
Well, I
favour of
wasn't
it, let's
told
put it
that.
that way.
I remember being freezing. It was warm.
Well, would I be right in summing it up then, that we would not object to those parts of the application which don't concern the roof, but we do object to the plans for replacing the roof with this
Yes.
On this metal.
type of material?
This-
It's out of
Coated
keeping
metal.
with the fabric, what do you call it? Out of keeping
Yeah.
with the...
Vernacular.
Doesn't fit our design philosophy, whatever you want to call it.
No, but it probably does actually run counter to the design statement, which has got somewhat pushed into the background over recent times with the
We still have it as a guide.
It's still, and it would still be part, of, no doubt, of our entire overall plan.
It's just that shows you the significant amount of roof space you've got there. Yeah.
So how are we wording this, Chairman?
Possibly with a certain amount of thought about it overnight, because I have a feeling that Lisa will email me in the morning with a form of words that will polish it. But I think it's along the lines of what I articulated a minute ago.
That doesn't fit the vernacular.
Let's move on to something which I hope will be rather less controversial, which is the new bell and associated equipment within the memorial chamber.
There it is. Right.
There it is. Yeah.
No problems.
Okay, Newcastle Bell. But I mean, but it's interesting. I mean, this is a grade 2-star listed building,
I love that.
so really it's important. And we've got Lloyd Mills is the case manager on this, so he'll be
Yeah.
very, very, very careful about what happens. But I've just done a little, just for industry, it's actually been shut at St Anthony, which I didn't actually know.
That's right. So that is opposite. But that's interesting.
But it's actually exempt from certain repairs and altercation under an ecclesiastical exemption
I
order,
don't know.
which was dated in 2010. But, do you know the fact that the bell, well, you can read it, I don't need it, it's pretty well written.
So they're saying they don't listen, they need it, but they're doing it to be nice.
It basically think because it can be seen,
Yeah.
it affects the there. And of course, what I like this bit is that it's an existing purpose-built belfry
Without a bell.
without a bell. So you can actually say that they're actually doing something that should have been done in the first place.
Took another 70 years.
Yes.
But I mean, what can I say?
Let's go for it. Yeah, I think.
So subject to any contrary view of the Conservation Officer, no objections.
We're all for
No,
it.
I'm sure he will.
Actually, I wonder, just almost as an aside, having said that, if the bell is going to be rung,
Oh, no, I was going to
Yeah.
come.
there might be a noise issue by
Absolutely.
concern by certain
All
neighbours.
the people in Sperlings will be woken up every Sunday morning.
So perhaps the operating hours of the aforesaid bell should be part of a planning condition.
It'll be normal time, won't it? Not like that.
I mean, you're not hardly likely to be ringing it at 2 in the morning, are you?
But aren't the bells
Unless
that
we're
go
being
out?
invaded or
And
something.
it's probably only going to ring during term.
I think they don't have weekly church services there anyway.
They don't have early morning, they're not like Catholics,
No.
they can see at 6 o'clock on.
No, I mean, the,
But everyone can hear St Peter's bells anyway, can't they, on
Yes.
Sunday morning, so...
There's been a lot of moaning about bells though in the past.
not that I'm aware
No,
of in
not in
Amber, having
Angle.
said that.
No, Angle did in other places.
Right.
There's churches with bells.
And everywhere I lived had actually been near a church that used to ring bells.
No observations about the times of the bells ringing then? No.
Because you assume it's going to be still loud.
Right, let's move on to something a little
It will be up to them to...
more conventional. We'll move on to 16 Warren Bridge
Okay.
and an attic conversion, etc.
Right, okay. Now, you can see where it is. I always wanted to try and put a stat bit.
Oh, it's that bit, yeah.
It's
It's Oracle.
round the corner.
It's the Oracle delivery.
Well, I've delivered there a few times. But you can see there's an awful lot of trees at the back.
Very nice.
But it's way out the way.
It is.
Where it's at.
Haven't we seen this one before, with a different...
Yes.
Yes,
this
it's
is
some form of resubmission, isn't it?
It's a restart I actually looked at the original, and they haven't really changed an awful lot, to be honest. There's a pic of it. I picked that off. That's the one, and you can see more or less what it looks like. Site plan is that, and I just highlighted the bits they're going to change. New porch, and this sort of addition at the back. Now, the floor plans are, that's the family room and the kitchen are going to be swapped. Now, at the moment, the kitchen is on the right red square or rectangle, and the family room is there. But what they're going to do is swap them. So what we're going to go now is a new.
To make a big difference.
So you can get the general idea of that. I hope you can see what I'm talking about. Family room is now on that front bit, and then they're going to increase the size of the, it's the dining room and kitchen area. I've just highlighted the additional build really.
Makes sense.
No, this is what I thought funny about this. Strangely, the pork is not shown on the ground floor. It's sort of
It's a flying.
I just thought it was funny. I thought, oh my God, these are I haven't doctored these anyway. I thought, well, that's strange. It's going to be hanged.
Actually, you know the postal votes for the council, talking about city areas, they've only allowed 3 boxes.
Yeah.
For 1960 via date of birth. So it's put in the birth.
They're reissuing.
They are reissuing, yeah. Because
Like,
even if
not
you
that-
fill it in and add the box
Every
in.
time we do that, I panic. Anyway, look,
Face to face.
anyway, look, just looking at the evaluations, it's fairly straightforward, really. That's the proposed ones, and you can see that's what they want to do. Porch is in there. They managed to put that one so it's grounded.
Yes, it's not up in the air.
It's not up in the air, but you get the general idea. Do you really? It'd be difficult to really say.
And that's the impact
And
of
for tree fans,
tree fans.
tree
No,
fans,
that's tree protection.
you're going to have a tree protection fence.
Awesome.
Stop the digging from hammering into them, I suppose. I don't know.
Oh, the deer, because
I just put it in for interest, but they have put that on as a planning application. They're going to look after the trees.
My recollection is we didn't object to the original version of this, and I can't see anything in the revised plan that would make us suddenly become worried about it. So can I assume no objection?
No.
No objection.
Right, next.
looks like a nice one.
16 East Road is easy.
Loft extension.
It's with
Oh, there you go.
I'm sorry to disappoint you
Oh,
all.
we're looking forward to it. Now we've got the boardwalk.
Now I'm afraid that
we just
it'll turn up again.
I don't think
Come back.
Under the guise.
Yes, come back.
It'll come back again. It'll come back again.
we've all
But anyway,
Declared our interest in this one.
yeah.
can I just say, that's one of the quick ones we'll do.
Right.
There we go. Now, what I've done here is, we know we can't comment on this, but I just thought I'd put this up just to let people know what's happening. Now, I took photographs of this years ago for Oracle, and of course it's fallen into terrible disrepair. Now that's the path that runs from the Rugby Club, which is on the right-hand side, and that runs up to the entrance to the boardwalk. Now that's the bit that's going to be asphalted. That path.
I'm going to say the head of estates didn't know about this.
No,
We have talked about it, and one of the things we talked about was we couldn't afford it.
it cost a
So
fortune.
how did it end up here?
Where's the money coming from?
It's just
Not
it's
sure.
a formal planning application.
Yeah, but who submitted it?
In.
Yeah, who put it in?
Who submitted it?
Well, we did.
But who exactly?
Who are we?
Did you listen?
No?
I think one
I
of
was
us
surprised
did.
when I saw it up
I
there,
have a
to be
feeling
fair.
it was, I think it's Walters Estates that did it, if memory serves. Walters Estates, I think.
Yeah, it could be actually.
But the honest answer is, but the point is that this is an extract from the design and access statement, and there's one or two interesting things about it.
That's nice.
increase the length of it
And the width.
Wheelchair
and
paths.
the width.
Yeah. It's a lovely area if you ask
Right,
me.
and there you go. And that's River Nene on the right, in case you didn't
And
know.
there's the boardwalk.
And there is the boardwalk.
I think that's really nice.
No, this is the interesting one.
Not allowed to say anything.
New Warren Union platform, and it's got glass balustrading, which presumably stops wheelchair users disappearing into the river.
But where's that come from? We never discussed that.
No, we have talked about it, but we haven't resolved anything, so
It's meant to be so people can fish as well. So that disabled people can fish. You can't do that with the
No,
glass.
glass balustrade there, and in
Balustrade.
Barnwell Park, all the disabled fishing platforms
They don't
have
have
a
that.
very low,
Yeah,
But we can't
fence.
say
you
anything.
can't. Where's this glass come from?
So can I just say, I'm just putting up what's on the planning
I
application.
think the cart's got in front of the horse somewhere. We need to at least go and have
I'd
a
like to know
conversation.
how it's got
All right,
there.
so
Let's assume for a minute that it gets planning permission, just, we don't
You
have
want
to
it.
incorporate, well, we don't have to incorporate every element of it, and if we
No.
decided as a council
Well,
not
we
to have
don't
glass
want them making
balustrade,
us do that though.
yeah, well, we haven't got the money for it. Was the other issue.
necessarily want us to.
So we've got 8 comments.
I think the position of the anglers is if you look just to the left of where the red arrow has gone, you'll see two sort of areas there, which are on a path. And I think that's really where the anglers would probably,
No, the idea is that people in wheelchairs can angle.
Those V's indicate a
I
slope.
can only put
It
up
was
what-
me that suggested it, so
I can only
You
put
see
up-
those two angled, the chevron parts, obviously, that indicates a slope in the working drawing. So they are actually ramps up to the boardwalk from the park,
Yeah,
nothing else. So, yeah,
Just stop press.
as you say, we can get rid of the glass, we can get
become
rid of the
something
asphalt.
that we've
can't we?
never
That's,
even
you know,
discussed.
yeah,
Can I do a stop
It's
press?
right.
Sorry about
There's a
that.
comment.
I've just been on the website.
Hmm.
I've got a stop press.
There's a huge comment.
The Environment Agency have refused.
Oh, God.
They've said we're refusing it. They want it refused because there's no flood risk assessment. And there's a few comments.
It seems a bit bonkers as well, because it's only replacing one that's already there.
In the absence of an FRA, we object to this application and recommend that planning permission is refused.
but I'm only putting this up because to say this is what the proposal is. We can't comment on it anyway, so
All right.
we might want to go back to the planning authority and say,
All right, badges.
Well, we'll throw it back to estates to find
Throw it
out
back
what,
to
to
estates.
find out what's going on. Me and Lisa will come back with something.
well, can I just say, it does sit in the states. But it is a formal planning
We've
application.
talked about it in estates recently.
Yeah, well, we talked about it,
Well-
but we haven't got it going this fast.
Can I ask that it is put on the next estate's agenda?
Yeah.
Does actually seem to me, if as a council we are aware of this objection by the Environment Agency, it would not be unreasonable for us to counter it by saying that since it is actually replacing a structure that's already there and in place, we are a bit surprised that they have seemingly overlooked this. Because I wouldn't like ENC to suddenly think that that's a very valid point, when in fact it seems to me it's
Well, the other thing I would just check say is I don't know how high this glass balustrading is.
Well, you can see from the drawing on the scale,
I
it's the
think
height
it's,
of someone in a wheelchair.
Oh, yes, there it is.
You can see it at the top.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the birds flying.
So it's the height of someone's head in a wheelchair.
yeah.
so, I mean, there's no further detail.
That's all we've got, yeah.
Right.
That's all I've got.
We'll pass
Must
it
have
to
been-
estates.
As
As a planning committee, we will make no comment on the application, but I would rather like the council formally to contact the district council to say that we are aware of this objection by the Environment Agency,
Could
but
we also ask, Chair, whether from estates the cost of the asphalt path and everything, so there's a bit more of a breakdown to it.
we can't afford to do it, so the problem is it will stop the whole thing.
Well,
Well, no, you're
I
planning.
don't know whether we will be able to afford to do it because I'm not sure what the cost is, and there is quite a lot of money, Section 106 money, floating about,
We
which
had a
might
meeting
enable
with
it.
a chap called Julian, I can't remember the company he's from, they support us anyway, and they're going to extend the contract, and he walked us round and was saying to Emma that he thinks he can get certain funds for us still, but that's still all up in the air. I can't remember where he's from.
Okay. So throw it back to us, Dave. So let's find the whole story.
Yeah.
It's a nice idea.
The other interesting thing is that I'm a modestly keen bird watcher. I've never seen a snipe on there. They are rather shy creatures. They tend to live on earthworms and things like that. And I haven't seen a red shank there. So, but they do tend to, they're very shy. So it may be just that my eyesight's not good.
Let's move on to 64 Rock Road.
Okay. 64 Rock Road. Okay, now this is at the Springfield Road end of Rock Road, and therefore not quite so shoehorned in as others. And you can see the site plan. It's fairly sort of straightforward, really.
This was the one that was in a few months ago and
It
was
was.
turned down because
Yep.
they wanted a two-storey extension at the back and a porch
Oh,
at the
they're
front.
correct for one now, then.
But
Absolutely right.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. I was going to
We
mention
discussed
that.
this.
Thanks. Yeah, we looked at that. Anyway, look, that's the satellite. That's number 64. Now, what I'm going to say is that the satellite went over in 2018 because you can see that the Rock Road Garden was on it.
You can see my camper
They've
van
all
as
been
well.
updated, actually.
That big white thing's my camper van.
Not all of it.
They're not that-
Usually they come from about 2009.
Mm.
But this one is,
updated.
Bang on
I
today.
just thought that was an interesting observation.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, the other thing I say is notice the number of extensions already built along this road.
Mhm.
Well, I dealt with one or two applications along there, and an awful lot of people have built at the back.
It's like-
So it's, you know, this is not a sort of surprise, but we now come to that. That is number 64. I'll just put that red line up there just to show you that it's the left-hand one and not the right-hand one. Existing floor plans are that, and you can see, well, pretty well what they look like. The proposal is to do that, in effect. There's a hell of a lot of script on there, but basically they do want to do a sort of an infill bit, but they want now to have a studio garden, but it will only be single story.
So that'll reduce.
And that was the original problem with it, because they were planning, I think, to do, well, they were planning to do a two-storey one. Elevations are like that, so in other words, that's what you've got. Now, you could maybe think there might be a problem with the porch at the front because it reduces maybe parking there. There's still, there's plenty of parking.
They've got off-street parking.
They've got off-street parking if they want it, and it's at the, shall we say, the less busy end of Rock Road.
Yes, it's not the tight.
It's not the tight bit. And it's just an interesting one. I've never seen this before. They've done a comparison of the shadow cast. Because clearly that would be something that might be of concern to neighbours. And in summary, it's not really that significant.
Yeah, because the sun's shining that way. It's very good.
Well,
It's idea.
Well, if you look, if you look at the
66.
things, it's south the south
Yes.
is coming in from the right-hand side, so therefore it's always going to cast a shadow there. But I think the general reason why this was put up by the architects was just to say that there was minimal effect upon shadow casting, which is often a cause of misery for.
Oh, it's because they've done that garden studios or two.
Yeah, but it's
It's
only
not
going
much
to
higher than the fence.
be, it's only going to be a single story, so they've overcome one of the issues. I have very little more to say about this one.
I don't know.
Again, I have to put my usual caveat in. I haven't found an objection. But you know, but you never know. One could be on the website tomorrow.
I'll have a look quickly.
If our objection last time was to the fact it was a two-storey rear extension, which is now a one-storey rear
Yep.
extension,
We can't really argue.
we may take a view that this is no longer an objectionable thing. And
I don't think we
if
objected
we
to it
hadn't,
last time. I don't think we
I didn't
objected
think
to
you
it.
might be
No,
right.
we didn't. We had no
I
objection.
certainly if we had not been aware of a previous application and this had simply come up in its own right, do you think we'd have been spending any time really considering whether or not to
No,
raise an objection?
I've got
No objection.
Compared with other developments on Rock Road, this is really insignificant because there's some big stuff out the back there in some of these houses.
There's two that are having a very substantial,
Yep.
maybe double size the house.
If anything, it makes those very flat-fronted houses more attractive.
Yeah.
So it enhances Alder rather than detracts from it.
Okay, no objection. Let's move on to the last one, which is a tree. Quite get away now.
favourite trees.
Right, can we move on? Because we know what we're going to say about this.
Trims. So for this.
That's all I've got. I mean, it's the back of Simon Dolby's gallery.
There's a tree there.
There's a tree. And it's all there.
Let's go.
And it basically is going to get trimmed, not felled.
This is tree husbandry under our normal policy. We would not object.
There you go.
Subject to the views of the tree officer.
Officer, if he has any, which he probably wouldn't.
Look at that. Isn't that lovely to see? And it's only, we're only 35 minutes into it.
Right.
Only a question about taking a metre off the top of a weeping willow. Don't you end up with just a stump?
Well, it depends how big it is now.
The weeping willow is just on the way
Yeah, I know
they
it goes
do.
sort of that
you know.
way.
I can't imagine anybody taking a metre off the top of a weeping
Well,
willow.
The tree officer.
We've deferred to the tree officer, so if he thinks it's an issue, I must admit I hadn't actually thought of it in those terms. So you're right.
Mr. Tree and all sorts.
Well, there are no more applications for us to consider. The next item is simply notice of certain planning outcomes, one of which might have caused us a slight moment of reflection, because there was an application on which we made no comment because we didn't know about it for some reason, which was the trees in 2 Old School Avenue. Now, bearing in mind it is Old School Avenue and therefore somewhat sensitive, because we have issues around trees in Old School
Yes,
Avenue.
I read this and thought the same.
I think it's a little unfortunate because it isn't just total tree management. There is the words fell and remove about halfway down here for one of the trees.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's been granted. No doubt the tree officer didn't have a problem with it, but it's just
But
a slightly odd thing.
we spent hours over the month, the planning.
Right,
being
certainly
done
not in
for this,
connection
and
with the specific
one
one,
of the conditions was that the trees in that avenue were kept. And there were all sorts of special plans about how they were going to treat the sides
It's the Norway
and around them.
Would councillors think it worth our writing to the tree officer to say that we've been made aware of this
Yes.
and that we are concerned, because it doesn't seem to have involved a felling, and as Councillor Chesham rightly points out, we were very exercised by that at the time. There were assurances that the intention was to ensure that significant trees remain,
Yeah,
and we don't like the idea that that's going to get chipped away at.
exactly. It was a major part of the planning consent,
It was.
wasn't it?
It was.
To retain the character of it and the avenue and the trees that were mature, they're mature trees.
Would you like to let me have a draft of a suitable letter along those lines?
Yeah. Just quickly, it's come to light that certain emails have been going into a junk mail that apparently I hadn't been set up to have access to. and they only stay there for 2 weeks. I had absolutely none of these from planning for all of the planning applications. I only found them because I went on the website. So we've now spoken to IT and they're now coming through to me, but for some reason, so that will probably be why that one was missed.
The wonders of modern
I know.
technology. Councillors will also be interested to note, under planning appeals, that the appeal in relation to 5 Cotterstock Road was dismissed. Which takes us to any other relevant matters for report. I might as well start at that end. Councillor O. Councillor O.
Just something, it's not perhaps planning, it's more estates, and you probably are aware of it, but Angle Fitness have now got a defibrillator in there, which they have raised money for, together with, if you're coming out of Angle Fitness onto that road that joins the main road.
Yes.
I don't know what the company is on the left, but they've joined forces with the Angle Fitness to pay for the defibrillator, and also they're paying for everybody to be trained.
Very good.
So this is on the
I
industrial
wasn't aware.
estate.
I think that is a piece of good news.
Yeah.
It suddenly
It's
occurs to
what
me
the
that
estate's really-
Councillor Clark was emailing us the other day about things that could perhaps go in that Oundle advertiser, and that seems to me to be the sort of thing that could well go in there.
They raised the money, they had a Christmas party which at the golf club, which people just donated money to.
Could I
I thought
perhaps-
that was really good.
Could I
Because
perhaps
there's
trouble
a lot of
you?
people work down there, and the nearest place is the Joan Strong Centre or Picardy, I believe. So they really felt there was a need, and
Yeah,
the gym
yeah.
was a great place to have it, and they're all trained.
That's not
Anyway,
what they do
in-
with people there, yeah.
Could I perhaps trouble you, Councillor Oakes, to contact Councillor Clark and just see if he's still looking for something for that, because that would be something I think could well go in there, because I think Oundle Fitness and others involved in that should be applauded.
We're going clap for them for doing that. And also we had that presentation, didn't we, from the Heart
Yes.
people.
We did.
But they've just done it off their own bat, so that's good. I think I was
Yeah, very
really
good.
proud of them.
Yes.
I told them so from the council.
Good.
Good.
Councillor Fuller. So,
It's good.
No.
Well, I was told by my neighbour that they had put in to planning to deal with some trees that are in fact mine.
Deal with
are you declaring an interest?
Well, I'm not sure. I'm just saying, I'm wondering
where this application
whether
has
the
got to?
application has sunk without trace or something like the others.
I'll chase it up for you.
What,
It
the
was
jump?
Herne Road, wasn't it? It was the Herne Road one. Backed onto your garden.
No, it's not those. This is the ones
Well, in
between
Riverside
me
Close,
and
is it?
Riverside Close, me and the next door neighbours. I mean, it's not an argument going on or anything, it's just that they rang up and said, we'd better tell you that we're putting into planning to reduce these trees.
Yes, I remember it.
Interesting, because the ones the other side that are theirs are massive, absolutely massive.
Okay.
Oh well,
Chainsaws out.
Yeah.
Shading their garden.
I was about to say,
Well,
and
the
finally,
trees were there long before their house, unfortunately.
Councillor Oakes, you.
Just going back, I mean, that's one of the observations I've made to planning department, that they don't give us enough information about tree applications. Because if you see that one, for example, that's what I've got.
Yeah.
Well, I know where the tree is, but it's very difficult to do that well.
After.
Mr. Dolby is actually doing a painting for us, so I could have probably asked him to wander through his gallery and go and see it, but I thought the better of that.
Yeah. He's pretty sympathetic.
One final matter to mention, and again it's really more an estates matter, I suppose. But as you come up the Glatfield Road into Oundle, the Oundle sign,
Oh, it's been
the
hit.
little bit that says twinned with
It's been
is
hit.
hanging at a rather
Yeah.
strange angle, because it's obviously had an argument with something and lost.
Someone hit it.
I don't know whether our sort of open space maintenance people could go and have a look at it and fix it, if it's fixable. And on that note, around about 20 to 9,
Very impressive.
one of these days we're going to get a dozen really complicated applications.
We'll be here at 11 o'clock.
Goodness knows when, yeah.
40 minutes.
Well, actually, Just Let's have a little picture up now of what their new thing is going to look like.
Sorry?
Just Let's, you know, they're remodelling everything.